Hold on tight. Things just took a jaw-dropping turn in the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni lawsuit. The courtroom drama has been heating up for months, and just when you thought it couldn't get crazier, the judge dropped a bombshell this week. And guess what? It's not looking good for Justin. What went down on Monday? Well, it's a game changer. This is the kind of twist that'll have you on the edge of your seat. Justin now faces some serious choices, and it's about to get real messy. Curious? You should be, because this is one detail-packed story you won't want to miss. Stay with me to find out exactly what went down and why this could shift the whole case. Let's rewind. If you missed the start of this wildfire, buckle up. It all exploded when Blake Lively filed a bombshell lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, accusing him of harassment and retaliation on the set of It Ends With Us. Her claims? Unwanted kisses, crossing boundaries in an on-set environment that felt anything but safe. The internet instantly ablaze, but it didn't end there. Blake alleged something even darker, that Justin and his team were actively sabotaging her career during the film's promotion. She painted a picture of betrayal, manipulation, and a campaign to silence her. Audiences listened, and most took her side. Then came the counterstrike. Justin fired back with a $400 million lawsuit. Not just against Blake, but also Ryan Reynolds and their publicist, Leslie Sloan, accusing them of staging a smear campaign. He wasn't done. He slapped the New York Times with a $250 million defamation suit over their coverage of the case. What started as on-set tension had now morphed into a legal battlefield with Hollywood giants at war. But just when it seemed like the pressure was peaking, everything shifted, and not in Justin's favor. Now, let's get into the heart of it. What exactly did Blake accuse Justin of? According to her lawsuit, Justin crossed serious lines on set. Blake described improvised kisses, unwanted physical closeness, and a pattern of behavior that made her feel violated. But that wasn't all. She claimed crew members barged in while she was changing or breastfeeding, and, shockingly, that Justin showed adult content to staff, creating a deeply uncomfortable environment. When the New York Times picked up the story, it exploded. Social media lit up. Blake wasn't just seen as a celebrity speaking out. She became a symbol of standing up against toxic behavior in Hollywood. But then, twist incoming. Justin's legal team clapped back, accusing Blake of warping the truth. They said her lawsuit cherry-picked moments, twisting context into accusation. And then came the footage. Raw, unedited clips from the film set. Footage that allegedly contradicted some of Blake's key claims. Suddenly, the narrative cracked. Viewers started questioning, was this really harassment, or was something being spun? Justin's defense gained traction. Public opinion began shifting. But just when things seemed to be tipping in his favor, the biggest shock of all was still on the horizon. Justin didn't back down. He came out swinging. In a legal blitz, he hit Blake, Ryan Reynolds, and publicist Leslie Sloan with a $400 million countersuit. His claim? A calculated smear campaign designed to ruin his name, his career, and everything he'd built. But he wasn't done. Next, Justin filed a $250 million defamation suit against the New York Times, accusing them of twisting the story to turn him into a villain. According to him, the coverage wasn't journalism. It was character assassination. Then came the big play. Justin's team launched a website, dropped unedited behind-the-scenes footage, and zeroed in on Blake's claim about an improvised kiss. Their goal? Destroy the narrative and expose what they called a fabricated version of events. And the footage? It shook things up. Hard. Viewers watched, and some started changing sides. The raw clips didn't show the predator Blake described. In fact, it painted a far more complex, even sympathetic image of Justin. Suddenly, the story wasn't so black and white. The internet split. Was Justin clearing his name or spinning damage control? But just as he gained momentum, the judge stepped in, and what happened next turned everything upside down. Just when Justin seemed to be gaining ground, boom, a legal bombshell dropped. This past Monday, the judge dismissed both of Justin's headline-making lawsuits, the $400 million countersuit and the $250 million defamation case. Gone. Instantly. Why? 2 words. Legal privilege. The court ruled that Blake's original complaint, where she accused Justin of harassment, was legally protected. In other words, if you're reporting misconduct in a formal legal filing, you can't be sued for defamation. It's a safeguard designed to protect people from being punished for speaking out. But the blow didn't stop there. Justin's lawsuits against Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, and the New York Times were also thrown out. The judge said his team failed to prove any of them knowingly spread false information. And that's the legal standard for defamation. You have to prove they knew it was a lie and said it anyway. Justin's case didn't make the cut. The message was loud and clear, not enough evidence. His biggest legal weapons just got dismantled. Still, the judge left a sliver of hope. Justin has until June 23rd to revise and refile a few minor claims. But let's be real, his case just took a massive hit. The clock's ticking and fast. So what really crushed Justin's lawsuits? Let's break it down. The key? Legal privilege. When someone files a complaint about harassment, their statements are protected. That's the law. The judge ruled that Blake's accusations, no matter how damaging they sounded, were legally shielded because they were part of a formal legal process. Justin couldn't sue her just for speaking up. Then came strike two. Justin's defamation claims against Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, and the New York Times fell apart for a simple reason: lack of proof. In defamation cases, you must show the accused knew the statements were false or didn't care if they were. But Justin's legal team never made that connection. The judge saw right through it. No knowledge, no intent, no case. Add it all up, and the verdict was brutal. Justin's lawsuits didn't meet the standard at all. Now, he's down to a narrow window. The judge gave him until June 23rd to revise and refile a couple of smaller claims. But with the core arguments gutted, it's a Hail Mary at best. Unless he pulls off a miracle, this legal saga is slipping out of his hands fast. Just days before the judge's ruling flipped everything, Blake Lively made a bold move, one that caught everyone off guard. She dropped her emotional distress claims against Justin Baldoni. Why? Simple. Strategy. Justin's legal team had demanded access to Blake's private therapy notes and medical records, claiming they were essential to evaluating her emotional distress. But Blake's team called it what it was: a pressure tactic. They argued the case wasn't about trauma documentation, it was about harassment and retaliation. So Blake made a calculated decision: cut the emotional distress claims and keep the spotlight on Justin's behavior, not her personal life. Some critics said it looked like she was backing down. Her team fired back. This wasn't retreat, it was focus. She didn't need to expose her therapy records to prove what happened on set. Justin's team tried to lock the withdrawal with prejudice, meaning she could never revisit it. The judge said no. Blake's claims were dropped cleanly and on her terms. In the end, this streamlined her case and set the tone for the judge's later ruling. It was a tactical win for Blake. And now, the pressure shifts squarely to Justin. What's he going to do next? We've hit the crossroads. Justin Baldoni's lawsuits? Dismissed. His defense? Shaken. But the game's not over. Not yet. The judge gave him one final window, until June 23rd, to revise and refile a few remaining claims. That's the ticking clock his team is now racing against. But here's the hard truth: refiling isn't a reset. The court already said his original arguments didn't hold water. If he wants a second shot, he'll need new, undeniable evidence, not just reworded claims, not more footage. Something powerful enough to flip the entire narrative. And the stakes? Higher than ever. If his revised claims fall short again, not only could the case be permanently shut down, he could face penalties for filing a frivolous lawsuit. Justin's thrown everything at this: public statements, leaked footage, media counters. But now, it's all down to this last move. So what's next? Will his team come up with a game-changing twist, or is this just the final act of a collapsing defense? With Blake scoring major legal wins, all eyes are locked on Justin. His clock is ticking, the pressure's mounting, and his next move could decide everything. This legal war isn't over, but it's dangerously close to the end. The judge's ruling hit like a thunderclap, and the internet hasn't stopped buzzing since. Let's start with Blake. She broke her silence on Instagram, but it wasn't a victory lap. It was a message. Standing alongside 19 organizations fighting for women's safety, she spoke out about the toll of retaliatory lawsuits. Her words were raw, powerful. This wasn't just her fight, it was for every woman silenced by fear, shame, or legal threats. She acknowledged her privilege, the legal support, the platform, but emphasized how many women don't have that luxury. Her post wasn't about celebrating, it was about rallying. She turned a courtroom win into a call for collective action. The public? Divided. Many hailed Blake as a symbol of strength, resilience, and courage, but others raised questions about her role in the film's promotion, about how early things could have been addressed. On Justin's side, reactions are mixed. Some still support him, viewing the fallout as a smear campaign gone too far. But for many, the dismissal of his lawsuit speaks volumes. His credibility shaken. Media outlets are calling this a landmark moment, a win for those who speak out. And with the clock ticking on Justin's last legal shot, the world's watching. This story's not over. So, what now? With both of Justin Baldoni's mega lawsuits dismissed, it feels like the end, but it's not. The judge gave him until June 23rd to revise and refile. One final shot, one last move. Will it be a comeback or a quiet exit? For Blake Lively, this ruling isn't just a legal win, it's a statement. She's shifted the spotlight from herself to something bigger, protecting women who speak out. She's using her voice not just to celebrate, but to lead. And that momentum, it's powerful. But this case has been anything but predictable. Justin's next step could reignite the fire or fizzle out fast. If his team has something major up their sleeve, we'll know soon. If not, this legal saga may finally hit its curtain call. Either way, the world's watching. Media coverage, public debate, and Blake's advocacy have turned this from a lawsuit into a cultural flashpoint. So what do you think? Is Justin done, or is one last twist still coming? Sound off in the comments. The countdown is on, and in this story, anything can still happen. Stay locked in. This isn't over, not by a long shot.